Hey there, welcome to Millennium Milestone Presents, a site dedicated to storytelling in books, movies, video games, and other exciting genres, where Johnny Lawrence is training me to be the next badass Kung Fu master.
We're paying him. He works for us. It's not like he can actually hurt us.
It was at this moment that he knew.
Oh no! What happened?
Well, after playing mental gymnastics and watching Disclosure Day, and totally beating Sensei Lawrence with my crane kick, we won't talk about that. You should see how he looks right now. I got around to seeing something else that really piqued my interest than the other movie, and that's The Furious. And boy, did I have a lot of fun watching this movie. This was the perfect release from not having to use my brain, but actually just enjoying sitting back and watching a very simple, straightforward Kung Fu martial arts movie that really, surprisingly, has an amazing story behind this, and I can't wait to tell you about it right now. The story centers around a mysterious mute, kung fu trained handyman named Wang Wei, played by Zhi Miao, who has a daughter played by Yang Enyo as Rainy. The two share a special bond as they go through life in Southeast Asia to make ends meet. Rainy is suddenly kidnapped by a brutal international child trafficking ring, and after an intense confrontation and chase that made way more sense than Disclosure Day, Wang loses the gang and seeks help from a local police station that is completely corrupted and unwilling to help him. This forces Wei to form an unlikely alliance with Navin, played by Joe Taslim, a relentless journalist hunting down the same criminal empire after his own wife went missing trying to expose them. The duo launches a full-scale rampage through the criminal underworld, taking on formidable lieutenants, corrupt officials, and elite combatants. And I tell you, these combatants are not your typical video game 8-bit Nintendo villains. These are fully trained assassins that can literally do anything. We're talking like a hulking fat guy that can do leaps and headbutt you and bend metal. We got a cowboy hat wearing villain who pretty much can shoot you with a shotgun at any range at any time. And then you also have a bow and arrow assassin who can also kill you with the bow. These guys look like they came out of a John Wick movie and maybe a Quentin Tarantino movie at the same time and did overtime pay for both movies. The movie itself, I would liken it to Taken injected with steroids from The Raid and swapped out Liam Neeson for Jet Li.
You don't know who you messing with. I'm not that young. Which one of y'all kicked me?
The kung fu in this movie makes The Raid look like child's play. Like, you have these characters jumping, leaping, dodging in ways you can't even understand how they do it. You have to see this to understand what I'm talking about, because the martial arts in this is so much fun. You can't even help but be amazed at what these actors went through to pull off half the stuff they did.
But wait! There's more!
I have to tell you that this movie, even though it's very simple, it's a father-daughter dynamic story where the father is trying to rescue his daughter. It's got an amazing story behind this about child trafficking, about corruption, about justice and vengeance, and it really, really gets you engaged all the way straight through. It is a movie with adrenaline injected times over in this. If there was anything negative to say about the movie, it would be you don't get to know much about the character. You don't understand why he's mute. You don't understand where he got his combat training from. And honestly, that part, I don't care. Again, I've watched a lot of Kung Fu movies that don't have a lot of sense to them. And I'm okay with movies like this because once in a while, I think you can use something that just lets you relax, kick back, and watch a story unfold, even if it doesn't entirely make sense. Now, why would I say that when I just watched Disclosure Day and called out how nonsensical that movie is? Well, this is a Steven Spielberg film we're talking about, and he gone on to say that there's a theme with this. If you're going to give me a theme, you better have an explanation, a midpoint that makes sense, and a payoff that satisfied me. That didn't do that in that movie. However, even though The Furious is a very simplistic movie, it has a very simple explanation for the main character's reasons to be in this movie, in his story. It has a story that you are engaged in through and through, with not just the martial arts, but you want to see everybody get their comeuppance. And I forgot to mention one other thing that I think really might sum up why I like this movie even more so. Now, unless you've been living under a rock and don't know who Sephiroth is, then you get my point with why I would bring him up here. I'm using this to reference Joey Iwanaga. This guy portrays Paklan, and I gotta say, Paklan is the most ruthless, despicable villain I've ever seen. At first, you thought this was a beta boy who couldn't even get himself out of an office without daddy's help here. But I tell you, he is nothing but that. He is a sociopath and a powerful gangster who runs a child trafficking syndicate, and definitely the villain. He is undeniably a ruthless villain in any way possible. He is just kicking butt everywhere and makes everybody have to work 10 times harder to take him down. Even the crime boss's goons have a hard time taking this man down. And that's just adding to the spice of this movie times 11. What makes Paklan even interesting, and I would argue maybe even more interesting than, say, Skeletor and He-Man, he has quite the backstory. He's married and expecting a child. And when you see how the story unfolds with him playing this pretense as a loving father, son-in-law of a company who's harboring a child trafficking operation, you are just stunned by how everything plays out towards the end of this movie. And I'm not going to spoil that for you. You definitely got to see this to find out for yourself. Now, I'm not going to sit here and try to convince you that this is going to top Disclosure Day. It's not going to be like Backrooms and Obsession that outdid The Mandalorian. It's not going to happen here. But if you are curious about something that you have not seen, you haven't gone to the theaters yet, and you're kind of stuck between wanting to see something other than Disclosure Day, this might be a movie that might be something for you to watch. Because, again, this is an action film, I'll be honest. But this does have heart and story in it. It's very simplistic, but you'll have a good time watching this as well. If you want to wait till streaming, that's entirely up to you. If you want to save your money, that's perfectly fine. But if you're looking for something other than Disclosure Day, this might be the movie to watch. As for me, I would give The Furious a rating of excellent. And with a caveat, I'll be honest, this is, again, an action film, so it's not like a masterpiece. I'm not saying that at all. But I guess 90% excellent is where I go. 10% of it is maybe it's too simple a story. But again, action movies have their place. It's an art. It has something amazing in it when it comes to the martial arts, the style, the storytelling being told in this. And of course, it's an international film, so it is going to be something you're going to have to get used to if you are not used to listening to stuff that has dubbed audio in it instead of your typical straight-on English translation. But again, I guess this is an excellent. Maybe you guys have seen something else that really outdoes The Furious, like The Raid from before, or maybe something else coming out later this year that's going to be excellent as well. Let me know in the comments as well if I should look at something else. Like, share, and subscribe, and you best better believe I'll be back for the next one.